In 2007, Warren Buffett made a $1 million bet. He bet that a single, boring index fund, the kind anyone can buy, would beat a team of elite hedge fund managers over 10 years. These were the highest-paid, smartest investors on Wall Street, armed with billions and supercomputers. Buffett just picked the whole market and walked away. 10 years later, the results came in. And it wasn't even close. What happened next is the most important lesson in investing, and almost nobody acts on it. Let's break it down. The hedge funds, with all their brilliance, returned about 36% over those 10 years. The simple index fund? Nearly 125%. It didn't just win, it tripled them. The most sophisticated money managers alive, charging enormous fees, were crushed by a fund that does nothing but quietly own America's biggest companies. Buffett donated his winnings to charity, but the real prize was the proof. You don't have to be a genius to beat the experts. You just have to stop trying to. Sit with how strange this is. The people whose entire job is to beat the market, who are paid millions to do it, mostly can't. And a strategy so simple a beginner can set it up in 10 minutes beats them year after year. This isn't a fluke or a trick. It's one of the most consistent findings in all of finance. And once you understand why, you'll never hand your money to a stock picker again. So let's answer the real question. What actually is this boring little fund? An index fund is beautifully simple. Instead of betting on one company and praying, you buy a tiny slice of hundreds of them at once. The most famous, the S&P 500, holds the 500 largest companies in America. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, all of them in one purchase. You're not picking winners, you're buying the entire team. When you own the whole market, you stop gambling on which horse wins and simply bet that the economy, over time, keeps growing. Historically, that's been one of the safest bets there is. So why did the professionals lose? The first reason is fees. An active fund manager typically charges 1 to 2% a year. That sounds tiny. It's not. On a growing portfolio over decades, that small percentage quietly eats a third or more of your final wealth. A good index fund charges almost nothing, sometimes a few hundredths of a percent. Same market, same growth, but one hands a fortune to the manager and the other keeps it for you. Fees are invisible and they are brutal. The second reason is simpler. Almost no one can consistently pick winners or time the market. Not the pros, not the pundits, not the algorithms. Markets are too unpredictable. A manager might beat the market one year and trail it the next 5. To win, they'd have to be right again and again, for decades after fees. Almost none are. They're not stupid. The task is just nearly impossible. And you are quietly paying them to attempt it. And this isn't opinion. The data is overwhelming. Study after study shows that over any 15-year stretch, roughly 90% of professional, actively managed funds fail to beat a simple index. 90%. If 9 out of 10 experts, with every advantage money can buy, can't beat the boring fund, what are the odds that you, or the advisor charging you fees, will? The honest answer is very low. Which is exactly why the smartest move is to stop competing and just own the market. Here's the mental shift. When you buy an index fund, you don't need to know which company will win. You own all of them. Some will fail, sure, but the winners, the next Apple or Amazon, are already inside your fund, and their explosive growth carries the whole basket up. You can't miss the big winner because you already own it. Stock picking is trying to find the needle. Indexing is just buying the whole haystack, knowing the needle is somewhere inside. Over the long run, the U.S. stock market has returned about 10% a year on average. Not every year. Some years it soars, some it crashes, but averaged across decades, roughly 10%. Thanks to compounding, that means money invested in a broad index has historically doubled roughly every 7 years or so. You do nothing. You pick nothing. You simply own the market and let time and growth do the work that no highly paid manager could reliably beat. There's a hidden safety net here too. A single stock can go to zero, taking your money with it. Companies fail all the time, but a broad index can't go to zero because it constantly refreshes itself. When a company weakens, it falls out, and a stronger one takes its place. You are always automatically holding the current winners of the entire economy. No single failure can sink you. Diversification isn't exciting, but it's what lets you sleep at night. So if the strategy is this simple, why doesn't everyone get rich? Because the real enemy isn't the market, it's us. People panic and sell when prices crash, then buy back in when everything is expensive. The exact opposite of what works. The beauty of indexing is that it removes the decisions that trip us up. There's nothing to pick, nothing to time, nothing to outsmart. You just keep buying, through the ups and the downs, and let the market do what it has always done. The way you actually win is to automate it. Set up an automatic investment into a low-cost index fund every single month, no matter what the headlines say. This is called dollar cost averaging, and it's quietly powerful. When prices are low, your money buys more shares. When they're high, it buys fewer. You stop trying to guess the perfect moment, and instead buy steadily, forever. Automation turns a good strategy into an unstoppable habit, because it removes you from the equation. And here's the rule that ties it together. Time in the market beats timing the market. The gains often come in a handful of explosive days you can never predict. Studies show that if you miss just the 10 best days over decades, your returns can be cut in half. Miss the 20 best, and most of your gains vanish. The people who try to jump in and out almost always miss them. The people who simply stay invested capture them all. Now, an honest word. This is not magic, and it's not instant. The market will fall, sometimes sharply, and it will test your nerve. 10% is a long-run average, not a promise, and past performance never guarantees the future. This video is education, not financial advice, so do your own research or talk to a professional. But the core idea has held for nearly a century. Own the whole market. Keep costs low, and give it time. So here's everything, distilled into 3 rules you can act on today. 1. Buy a low-cost, broad index fund, something that tracks the whole market. 2. Invest a set amount automatically every month, and ignore the noise. 3. Never sell in a panic. Hold for years, ideally decades. That's it. No stock tips, no timing, no genius required. Just the boring, proven strategy that quietly beats 90% of the professionals who are paid to do better. The greatest trick Wall Street ever pulled was convincing you that investing has to be complicated, that you need them. You don't. The simplest strategy on earth, owning the whole market and waiting, has beaten the experts for generations. You don't have to be smarter than them. You just have to be more patient. Start small, start today, and let time do the rest. Subscribe to App Wealth Hub for the money truths nobody teaches you. Not financial advice, just the math.